we take a look at the goal of Mexico, Canada, and the United States to increase monarch populations over the next 20 years, everybody's got a role to play. It's all hands on deck. But to really make it go, the agricultural landscape's really important. So establishing habitat in farmland, not in the corn, not in the soybeans, but in those odd spots on the farms or places where it's not real productive to be growing crops, are the areas that we're looking towards for establishing more habitat to help improve monarch conservation.
Milkweed's a wonderful plant. I mean, there's something like 73 different species of milkweeds in the United States. A wonderfully diverse group, beautiful flowers, often very, very fragrant. Most of them produce a lot of nectar. This is among the most nectivorous group of plants out there. They support a lot of pollinators. They support monarch butterflies because monarch butterflies can only lay eggs on this group of plants. The larvae can only feed on that group of plants. This is why, in particular, we have to focus on restoring milkweed. If we don't have milkweed, there's just no monarchs. So monarchs and milkweed go together. We've got to have them both if we're going to have this monarch migration continue.
Oklahoma is important in both the spring and the fall, and we have breeding monarchs in both the spring and the fall. And so we'll see a lot of activity both in terms of needing milkweed and nectar sources. And I think one of the kind of opportunities that we have in Oklahoma is that we do have a lot of existing habitat. So our roadside mowing plots are based on areas that already have milkweed and nectar plants.
The beginning of the wildflower program actually started in 1937 with a memo from the head of the highway department telling everybody, all the engineers in the field, do not mow the right-of-way until the wildflowers have set seed. And that began that vegetation management program. And ever since then, that has been our philosophy. Even to this day, we do not mow that right-of-way until those wildflowers set seed.
When I specifically think about pollinator habitat in Iowa, there's lots of habitat in Iowa that seems to be kind of on marginal production ground. Anywhere where we have marginal production, like in our prairie potholes or steep side slopes of hills and everything, where we have a lot of erosion problems, those are great candidates to put into pollinator habitat. Specifically when we think about that, there's plenty of government programs to help those farmers establish that pollinator habitat so we can increase the amount of bees in the United States and in Iowa specifically.
Everything on an Air Force base has a function, serves some kind of a purpose. So I thought, why not make it so that our plantings also serve a purpose and function? So when people choose to plant non-native plants, a lot of times those plants have no function other than they look good. And so these plants behind me, they look nice, but they also serve as nectar sources for our pollinators, and more importantly, host plants for like the caterpillars. So I really wanted these areas to showcase pretty flowers, but that were also functional in multiple ways.
So as a farmer and someone who's been involved in agriculture my whole life, obviously I'm very passionate about agriculture and the environment. The land is where I make my living, and you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And I think most of us, if not all of us, have the potential to be part of the solution. So if you have a patch of ground, do something like this to protect the water and the pollinators.